Greetings, salutations from the Militant Negro YouTube channel. My name is JB, and I am the Militant Negro. I am going to take a moment to try to talk about Lil Wayne. I thought long and hard about saying anything about Lil Wayne because I'm not a fan of Lil Wayne's. I don't follow his music. I didn't even know who he was other than just hearing his name 10, 15 years ago, flopping around in the wind. But apparently, at this point in time, Lil Wayne is a multi-millionaire, a music mogul, and a pretty sharp businessman, which in reality means he has done some kowtowing to the Caucasian man who runs the music business in order to get where he is. You don't become a multi-millionaire music mogul unless you have some talent, some business savvy, a lot of luck, some knowledge of who to know and who to be with. So he's gotten where he's gotten by being smart business-wise. But he's apparently said some things on a Sports Center or ESPN or whatever television show called Undisputed. Then he went on Nightline and said some further controversial things about race, racism, and Black Lives Matter. And as I say with all things Negro, one person, because they happen to have black skin color or brown skin color or whatever shade they are, because one person has that skin color and says something out his or her mouth does not make them a representative of the entire Negro race. I say what I say because it's what I believe, and that doesn't make me a representative of everybody who is a Negro. It makes me a representative of me. When I speak for JB. I don't speak for an entire race and culture of people. And there is nobody that can say they speak for everybody who is a Negro. So whatever Lil Wayne said about Black Lives Matter on Nightline or Undisputed or anywhere else is Lil Wayne's words for Lil Wayne. Now, according to what I saw, and I will have the links to these two YouTube interviews in the descriptions down below this video. According to what I saw, he was on Undisputed, which is a sports show, and they brought up the issue of Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem, and what did Lil Wayne think of this? I don't know why they thought to ask him this question, because why would Lil Wayne's opinion of what Colin Kaepernick does matter? But anyway, he went into a drawn-out thing about he didn't understand racism and he's never been involved with racism. He's never actually seen racism, and he don't know that racism existed. And here's the man, a Negro, Lil Wayne, who just spent 8 months in jail for carrying a weapon. Rikers Island, prison. Now, if that ain't locking your ass up for carrying a weapon, if that's not race related, because I know many white folks who carry weapons, ain't registered to have them, ain't licensed or nothing, and they don't spend a day in jail. But to Lil Wayne, his being caught with the gun and going to Rikers Island for 8 months, that's not racism. That right there tells me Lil Wayne is stupid when it comes to life. He may be a genius in the music business, but when it comes to life, he's stupid. I watched another interview on Nightline with a woman who asked him a question about Black Lives Matter, and I could tell right away it was a trap. And he went right into the trap and got his foot caught. This man was doing an interview with Nightline about music, about his career, about his tours, about his music and his lyrics. And out of nowhere, she asked him about Black Lives Matter. Probably because she saw the interview with Undisputed and that Skip Bayless cat, who is the #1 racist for me. But anyway, she saw that Undisputed interview. She saw them asking him about Black Lives Matter, and she figured, well, hey, I want to get Nightline some views and some clicks and some YouTube hashtags going, so I'll ask him about Black Lives Matter, see what he says. And Lil Wayne stepped in it with both feet. He said he didn't understand Black Lives Matter, didn't know what it was or what it was about. Again, repeated that he don't know what racism is because he don't see racism. He got a lot of white fans. That's what the man said. Again, you can watch the videos because the links are below in the description section. You can't be a Negro or a person of color in America in 2016 and not understand that racism runs the nation of the United Slave States of America. If you live in America, if you know anything about America, if you've got two eyes and you have eyesight and you see what's going on in America, you know racism exists. And it's not just confined to the United States. Racism is worldwide. But here's a black man, a Negro, a house coon to some degree, because he getting all this money from his white fans, so he said. He didn't say anything about the Negro fans or the people of color fans. He just said that he got a lot of white fans when he on stage. You look out in the audience, you see a lot of white fans. A lot of white fans buying his music, putting money in his pocket. But I guess he don't really need all those Negroes and people of color who buy his music either. Just the white folks are all that counts. That gave him the inclination that racism is dead because he got white fans. I'm not saying that Lil Wayne is a house coon or that he's cooning. I don't know him that well. And I've only seen these two interviews that Lil Wayne gave. And both the questions were loaded and given to him to elicit a specific response, which they got from him because he's not that intelligent. You can't say anywhere, you can't even think it in 2016 that you don't know what Black Lives Matter is. It's a movement to bring awareness to what started out as protesting against the Negro and person of color genocide by law enforcement. And if Lil Wayne happens to listen to this, what that means, Lil Wayne, is that law enforcement officers throughout the United States are gunning down innocent, unarmed people of color, including Negroes, females, pregnant females, people who are mentally disabled, just shooting them dead in the street because they have skin color like yours. And nobody's doing anything about it. They're executing people of color, Lil Wayne, in case you don't know this. And they're getting away with it because they are law enforcement officers, Lil Wayne. Same people that locked your ass up for having a weapon, sent you to Rikers Island. That is a form of mass incarceration started by a crime bill pushed through by President Bill Clinton and his wife, Hillary. So, I don't understand how you cannot know this, but maybe you're busy making records, making music, making money. I understand that. You're not the only person who is a celebrity, who has skin tones like mine and yours, who ignores social justice in order to make money, in order not to make waves. You see, that's the difference between Colin Kaepernick and you, Lil Wayne. Colin sees things going on in the world that bother him. He sees that he's making money off of a sport, while people around him who look like him are dying, being executed for looking like him. And I think that what goes through Colin's mind, I can't speak for him, but I can imagine what goes through Colin Kaepernick's mind is that he's out there making money, and in a world where he's safe to a certain extent, because he's Colin Kaepernick. But if his name were not Colin Kaepernick, he could very well be Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, Trayvon Martin. Anybody who has been executed without a weapon in the vicinity because they are a person of color could be Colin Kaepernick. And he knows this. So he decided to make a statement by not saying anything at first, just by kneeling during the national anthem, which is his way of saying, I'm not down with all these KKK cops killing my people. Now, if you don't understand that, all you had to say on Undisputed to Skip Bayless and on Nightline to that lady reporter was, I don't know enough about Black Lives Matter to speak on it. Instead, you put your foot in your mouth by saying you didn't know what Black Lives Matter was and you didn't understand it and you don't understand racism because you don't see it. If you don't see racism, Lil Wayne, you are blind, stupid, crazy, and I'm going to use the R word because you're retarded. You may be a good businessman when it comes to the music business, but when it comes to common sense and reality, you have nothing going on upstairs. You make music off of people who look like you. Your core constituents of fans, your core followers were Negroes and people of color when you started out. Wasn't no white folks going to your concerts, Lil Wayne. They jumped on the bandwagon after you got popular, and you got popular, Lil Wayne, because people who look like me and you and Colin Kaepernick bought your music. But like a lot of people in Hollywood and celebrities and entertainers, you forget from whence you came. That's okay. I ain't mad at you. You got to do what you got to do to survive. I'm just saying, do not speak on Black Lives Matter when you have no concept of what Black Lives Matter is, or what they're doing, what they're about, why they are necessary. Brothers and sisters, people of all races, colors, creeds, religions are dying in the streets because cops feel they have a power to execute them because they know nothing will happen to them. And for you to say you don't know what Black Lives Matter is or why they are there, what they do, because you don't see racism, it makes you a part of the problem. Again, I'm not a fan of yours. I don't listen to your music. I wouldn't spend money on anything that you sell, anything that you're about. I don't like your look. I'm an old school hip hop fan, not this new shit. I don't believe in calling women bitches and hoes. I don't think life is about getting that money and fuck everything else. You have kids and a wife. When your children listen to your lyrics, what do you expect them to do when they become adults? You have a daughter, and I heard you say in the interview with Nightline, you would not allow her to be called a bitch or disrespected, but you're calling other women bitches and hoes, disrespecting them. Again, that's a double standard, just like a racist uses against people of color. I don't know, I guess Lil Wayne shouldn't be getting all this attention because he didn't say what he said about Black Lives Matter and racism to get attention. He said it because that's what he feels. Now, the people who asked him the questions about Black Lives Matter had an agenda. They wanted to see what he was going to say because he's known, Lil Wayne is known for saying dumb shit, for saying things off the top of his head without thinking. And that's his persona. Maybe he's not like that in real life, but that's his personality for his business, is to be a hardcore gangster rapper. And I truly have my doubts about Lil Wayne being gangster in any form or fashion or anything. He don't look like he could be gangster for 2 minutes against some real gangsters. But that's another day for another topic, for another conversation. This is about people of color thinking they speak for the entire race of Negroes. We don't have a spokesman nowadays. We don't have anybody who speaks for us. When we speak, we're speaking for ourselves. We are talking about our own life experiences. Lil Wayne says his life experience doesn't include racism. He's never seen it. I don't know what planet he lives on, but I'd like to go there because I see racism all the time. And it's not because I imagine it or because I'm paranoid. It's because it's a fact. You don't have to go any further than a television, a newspaper, a YouTube video, or a tweet to see racism in progress in America. People are wearing blackface for Halloween costume, but you don't see racism in America. A mass incarceration bill created to lock up people of color, to keep the prisons full, to keep the prison industrial complex people's pockets full, but you don't see racism. And you were a part of that prison industrial complex mass incarceration for 8 months for carrying a weapon. But you don't see that as racism. I don't know. Sometimes I think human beings are the dumbest species on the planet. They have no concept of their surroundings, what's going on. Most Americans, most humans have their heads so far up their ass till they can't breathe clean oxygen. Racism is an issue. It's a thing. It's here. And Lil Wayne is not the only person who's misunderstood, misconcepted, misconstrued, plain don't understand what racism is. If you make it in this world, if you become successful, if you have $1 million of spendable cash in the bank, if your assets are fluid, it's not because you did that on your own. You had to have some help from somebody to get there. Lil Wayne had to have people purchase his music, buy tickets to his concerts. He didn't do that by himself. He had to have help from the fans who adore him. You didn't do it on your own, Lil Wayne. You didn't wake up one morning and have $1 million drop in your lap and decide that you were going to become a millionaire. You worked for it, but you had to have people receptive to what you put out there. And if you know anything about life, you know racism is here and it's present. So what you said on Undisputed to Skip Bayless and on Nightline to that woman was a lie. You might have been high because you smoke a lot of weed, so maybe you were high. But you know that racism is here, and it's here to stay, because people like you ignore it. If your car engine makes a knocking sound every time you hit the accelerator, and you ignore it, it's not going to go away, Lil Wayne. It's going to get worse. You got to take that car into a mechanic and have it fixed. Racism is like a pinging, knocking engine. It will not go away because you ignore it. You have to spend money to take it to some place to fix it. Okay, racism has to be addressed. It has to be talked about. People have to sit down and come up with ways to erase it. Because you make money and you rich and you got all these cars and houses and possessions doesn't mean racism doesn't touch you. I guess I just don't understand people who have quote unquote made it and think they're above racism, because you're not. Racism will smack your ass upside the head just as quick as it will me. I'm done with Lil Wayne. You guys have a great evening. Be well. Stay safe. Namaste.